SwayamPrabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So, welcome to the last two sessions of the fourth week of our course on marketing management part 2, where we are discussing some of the advanced concepts. As you recall, in the third week as well as in this fourth week, we have been discussing about brands. In these two sessions, today and tomorrow, I would like to conclude and give a wrap up to the session on brands, ending with a specific step by step approach to creating powerful brands. So, brand, as you have already seen, can be a name, can be just a term. A name can be like, kurkure. It can be a term like just do it. It can be a sign like the shape of a Coke bottle or the sign of whoosh on Nike, which can also be called a symbol. Often brands are associated with specific designs, particularly for luxury goods, for high image, high tech products. These design issues are very important, and often the totality of the brand is based on a combination of two or more of these concepts like name, term, sign, symbol, design, and so on. The fundamental purpose of brand, as we have discussed, is to create a distinctive position for your goods or services so that you can stand apart from your competitors, and your customers, your consumers can identify your offerings in contrast to the competitive propositions. So, this distinctiveness, this uniqueness, this differentiation is at the core of brand. We often call it the brand proposition, and I would like to say that brand position is closely linked to the concept of segmentation, targeting, and positioning that we have discussed earlier. And brand position can also often be understood better if we call it the strategic value proposition to the consumer or customer. There are some distinctive issues relating to branding of services as opposed to goods. This we will discuss towards the end of this course when we take up specifically many aspects of services marketing. At this stage, it is good to highlight that services are intangible. Services are often consumed at the time they are produced. Services are closely associated with service providers, and as a result, these become pillars of service branding. But we will discuss that more in detail when we discuss services marketing. So, fundamentally, it is quite clear from this last discussion that the strategic role of brands requires managers to be clear about what role the brand will play for the company and for the consumer. So for buyers, for consumers, for customers, brands help to reduce search costs. Because of the trust and confidence that the brand creates, the customers find it easy to home on to your brand in preference to others if you have been successful in matching the segment, that customer segment's requirement with your brand value proposition. We already know about the that the search for customers are often it's actually no customer wants to have an unlimited search. They have limitation on time, resource and so on. So the concept of bounded rationality, that means the customer stops at the point where he or she finds the search result satisficing, has a very close correlation with this brand creation. The trust and confidence created by a brand helps reduce the time and resource spent by the customer on search and conforms to the concept of bounded rationality of the consumer. This trust and confidence helps to reduce the risk perception which is associated with all purchase decisions in the customer's mind. So, quality, consistency, fitness for use, functionality, aesthetics, all of these things together create this image in customer's mind which help reduce the risk perception. Of course, the risk perceptions are not only related to utility or functionality, they are also related to sort of psychological and social risk perceptions. So, there are underlying issues relating to psychological rewards, pride in the sense of possession, and association of a particular purchase with the customer's need for prestige or acceptance, and all of these are ingredients of the brand creation strategy. So these are the points that brands contribute on the buyer side. On the other hand, for the sellers, brands help create customer loyalty, occasions for repeat purchase. It helps in introduction of new products within the same basket or as an extension of the current product line. Brands help in enhancing the effectiveness of marketing communication, promotion. Brands help in pricing. Issues relating to the relationship between pricing and branding and marketing communication we will discuss when we take up those specific subjects like pricing or promotion, and we will see how brands contribute interactively with these marketing elements. Brands are also closely correlated with segmentation, which I discussed just now, because there are very few brands which sort of connote the same perception in among all consumers. So, brand propositions are closely related to customer segmentation, market segmentation. So, market segmentation, brands communicate a coherent message to the target audience and telling them what the brand is going to do for them. So, brand loyalty, customer loyalty, repeat purchase, premium pricing, enhanced revenue are all related through cause effect relationships. Now, who is responsible for managing these value propositions? To see these interrelationships and the interactions are creating a positive overall impact. In a sense, actually, though the product managers or brand managers are often seen as the custodians of brand proposition, brand equity enhancement, brand propagation, but they must be supported by all the functions in the organizations to be successful. So, in some way, brand is also a very important constituent of internal communication. So, when the brand is perceived by your employees, by different departments within the organization, at the same level or from the same vantage points as the customer would see your brand, create a synergy which is very, very important for successful brand management. So, though the brand managers, product managers, the divisional executives, the product executives, these various titles are normally associated with brand management, but a key point we are making at this stage is that the responsibility for creating, enhancing brand equity must permeate throughout the organization and must synergize with the customer's perception. Marketing department as a whole, sales, marketing, product management, all these various functions within the marketing function are primarily responsible for what we call SSR, that is sensing the market signals, sharing those signals within the organization and responding to those signals in terms of the brand attributes, in terms of the product features, in terms of the strategic value propositions provided as solutions to customers' problems by the product, by the brand. This chain of responsibility of the marketing department permeating throughout the organization guide the brand towards the target market and positions itself in an advantageous fashion so that the customers can choose your products, your services in preference to the competitors. So, strategic brand management decisions are relevant not only to all the functions within the business, but also to your key suppliers, your component producers, your distribution partners, your channel partners, retailers, and the entire value chain on the supply side as well as on the delivery side. So, successful brand management therefore must connect the entire value chain from the supply side to the delivery side, and everybody must synchronize at least to the core elements of the strategic value proposition created by the brand. So, this particular diagram sort of summarizes what I have been talking about. That means, first is the brand identity. Now, this brand identity is created by product designers, by product managers, by brand managers, by the marketing department as a whole, in consonance with other functions like operations, supply chain management, production, finance, all the other functions. So, the brand identity, as I have just now mentioned, can also be called the strategic value proposition represented by your product and service bundle. Now, this brand identity which you are creating and you are implementing over a span of time must synchronize with the perception in the customer's mind. So, your intended identity before you take your brand to the market and the perception after acquisition of your product or service in the customer's mind must correlate, and even better is that the post consumption or post acquisition perception, sense of satisfaction in the customer's mind must exceed the intended brand position. So, the customer's expectation is created by the brand identity, by the brand promise, by the brand message. The realization or perception in the customer's mind after acquisition, after purchase, after consumption, if that exceeds the pre-consumption expectation created by the brand message, then your brand management is really successful. So, as you can see, the brand must walk an interesting edge which actually must balance the expectation creation, because low expectation creation will not give your product or service a vantage position in preference to the competitor, but an overhype created for the brand may actually create a post consumption, post purchase dissonance in customers' mind which harms the brand. So, the brand must retain the balance between competitive differentiation and over promise or over hype, so that the post acquisition perception is better than the pre acquisition expectation, and the customer therefore feels good on acquiring your brand, acquiring your product and service promise created by the brand. And this positive feeling is at the core of what we call leveraging the brand. Some further issues of how to do it, how to go about it, we will discuss in the next session. Thank you.